Hello, and today I wanted to do a video on the amplification of energies that are affecting our personal development in such way that might bring in some ideas of turbulence, or some ideas of unease or discomfort, depending on how the energies are affecting you on any one moment or any one time of being. So the energy itself is it's creating what I could best describe is kind of a shakedown environment where if you start to take a barrel and you start to shake it back and forth, and as the substance of within starts to sway, everything that isn't so will start to pounce out of the existence of the barrel, or in this case the existence of you. So the metaphor is we are barrels, kind of being swayed in the most gentlest of way, from side to side, and in the establishing of that balance within the sway, we release energies that in fact are serving us or causing us unnecessary burden. So very interesting metaphor. I appreciate that. But in essence, what we're shedding, what we're releasing, what is bouncing off of us is everything that has been lodged in and held in us as this barrel, sitting at the bottom, festering, growing, it causing us discomfort in a sense that it is actually weighing us down. So what is happening, as troublesome as it may seem and as energetically imbalanced as it may present itself, is dislodging of everything that has settled within us in our barrel form, and then the shaking of our being is dislodging this out of ourselves. So thankfully, this is the part that I'm very thankful for, is that the dislodging is happening very gently and very slowly. So if you're feeling yourself be emotionally aroused or emotionally disturbed, and you feel feelings and ideas coming to the surface, as it were, it is because they're being dislodged and in fact being released out of you. But in order to release, the barrel needs to open, and you need to process out and actively release out everything that you've been holding on to or barreling yourself into over the years. So one, don't be scared of the process. From any one moment, do not think that you are losing your sanity and now experiencing this total breakdown of self and basically find yourself be lost. I think that is a very natural progression of things. Is what the heck is happening to me? I'm losing it, and then you're actively being shaken up. Therefore, you don't even know where to settle. So as this energetic sway is swaying your being, it is challenging to stay in the center, one. But it's also challenging to have these emotions, be propagated all the way up from your being of self, where they were settled, where they were buried, they were under layers of settlement that you have compacted them in, and now they're coming to the surface for fruition of release. So, one, everything's perfectly fine. You're okay. Two, everything is going according to plan. This is meant to be. This is how you're supposed to find yourself. I guess that was technically too. And then on top of that is, this is probably more difficult of the part, is embrace yourself. Embrace yourself in that form of release. As the emotions come up, as the emotions surface themselves up, either a one at a time or a group at a time, you have an opportunity to face that something that you have buried from deep within, and allow it to free your being from its clutches, I guess, if the best way to put it, to where you're no longer being weighed down. So when people speak of shadow work, when people speak of dark night of the soul, when people speak of releasing your burdens, or releasing your parts, or undoing your boxes, or facing your truth, whatever you want to call it, all of it is in fact you allowing your true self to come into fruition in its natural form. And honestly, by shedding off layers of everything else that no longer serves you, possibly never served you. Well, no, I guess every lesson was there to serve your greater good, but it was never meant to burden you down. So at this point, that is no longer needed for your state of enlightenment, for your state of free being. It is trying to free itself out of you. So the idea behind it is you're being freed in the most gentlest way possible, in the most gentlest form of being, but it does not feel great while it's happening, because it causes confusion, it causes emotional outflow, and it causes the disturbance of your status quos. And that is the part that we need to address, is what happens when the status quo of you get disturbed, and now all of a sudden you're facing an emotional block that allowed you not to face the status quo of your past and kind of have it be buried, deep within, and now it's coming to the surface. So what do you do? What do you do with that? Surrender is the answer. You surrender into it. Now, surrender can mean multitude of things depending on the personal nature of you. Surrender could personally mean of taking some time to center yourself in a meditative state. Surrender could mean that you're talking to someone who you trust or love about what's coming up, and allowing them to be your soundboard or a bouncing filter of your emotions, to where you feel like you're receiving validation just by speaking them out loud. The suggestion that is coming up also is you could simply sit in the front of a mirror and then face yourself in the mirror, and then speak to yourself through your reflection. Verbalize everything to yourself that you have buried within you, and allow the reflection of you to be your truth forward. Honestly, probably the cheapest way and the most efficient way to do it. So, an amazing suggestion. And so just allow it to flow. Allow yourself to surrender into the emotional outflow, and pick a form that works for you. Pick a mirror, pick a friend, pick journaling, pick meditation, pick whatever form allows you to express everything that is coming up about any one emotion, about any one scenario of self that created the burden within you. So easier said than done, but at the same time, proper addressing of these energies or of your personal weights will allow you to release everything from within you that no longer serves your well-being. The process is, I think it's very gentle and very creative, but at the same time, it is causing a multitude of emotional confusions. When in fact, prior to the recent past, we were able to, I wouldn't say manage, but bury down our emotions and allow ourselves a pause, or allow ourselves a reality where we did not have to address our true being. Now that is no longer the status quo of our existence, no longer are we able to allow those emotions or those feelings or those thoughts to stay buried down deep within the barrel of ourselves. And then they're bouncing up, and the more you hold them down, the harder they will bounce. The more you suppress the process of any one, a multitude of them will start flowing at the same time. So the easiest way, or the most gentlest way, is to allow them to flow in their natural way. As they come, take that time, take that moment to pause and process whatever emotion is arising out of you, or whatever the feeling that is trying to come, and release it. Release it in any way possible. And then that way, the next emotion is able to come through more naturally and be released in that same propagated way that would be the most beneficial for your body. So I urge you, do not hold it in as it's trying to come up. It's not going to do you any good. Don't try to avoid facing them. And what's worse is seek relief in other forms. It would only make them bigger. And then two, don't feel afraid to actually have them come to surface and then start verbalizing your truth. So allow you to flow. Allow everything that possibly hasn't been you up until this point to actually flow out of you. And I think the mirror is a great suggestion to center in and see yourself for the truth of you. See yourself for who you really are, and have your voice be heard and you speak out loud into the mirror. So best of luck. I think it's very important for me to make this video, as I am feeling a huge influx of energies that are, basically shaking us out of our complacement of self and shaking us into the free version of ourselves, which is basically where we're going. How long would this go? As long as it will take for all the emotions to barrel themselves out of you. How quaint is that? Barrel themselves out of you. Yeah. So as long as it takes for all of them to start coming up and bounce out of you one at a time, two at a time. If there are clusters of emotions, they might possibly come in clusters, but make sure you address them one by one, or as the best way you can feel them. And possibly trace it down as you verbalize it, as you speak it, as you journal it, or as you meditate on it. Trace it down, the origin of that emotion, or the origin of its surface. Not this is the way I feel right now because currently the trigger that brought this up is X, but the trigger that brought this up right now is most likely a trigger from a buried barrel of the past. So whatever the initial conception of that emotion, the initial trigger, try to dig deep, as deep as that is. This is, currently right now you're an adult, you're able to process your emotions and face them and possibly understand them, but what is coming up right now is probably everything from your childhood, or everything from your past life, or everything that has not been on the surface available to come into fruition. So it's going to go deep. If you're in the beginning stages of emotional processing, then easier emotional will be coming up. But of course, if you've been doing this for a while, they're going to go all the way down and all the way deep. So hopefully, I don't know, I haven't figured out myself where this is going, but as the frequency of you lightens up, as you release these emotions, soon you'll be able to raise your individual frequency of self and actually start to face your true self, possibly for the first time, or for the first time in your recollection in this lifetime. Let me clarify that. So yeah, I praise you for one, realizing that something is happening, and then two, possibly seeking an answer to what that is, and then how you can address it better, or how you can find yourself functioning better with everything that is coming to surface. So I hope this video helps. I give you much love on your journey of self-discovery, because I know it is not an easy journey to be on, but I hope you realize that you're being supported in every way possible as you progress in the form of being that is your true self. So chalk it on.